I have one word about yet another tax. This is pathetic. Raise taxes. For those of you who aren't paying attention, taxpayers, the very ones you need to pay all of these taxes that the state keeps imposing on us, are fleeing this state. Are you paying attention? Did you not learn from the city of Chicago debacle, where they so smugly raised the cigarette tax and thought that would be their saving grace to fill their budget hole? Did you not learn from the Cook County debacle, when they so smugly raised the tax on soda pop and thought that would be their answer to their tax problems? The end result? Both taxes had to be recalled because people went over county lines for their goods, as they will for this gas tax. By imposing this gas tax, you are hurting our businesses too. You vote along party lines. This I don't get. My husband and I don't always agree. Please don't tell me that you don't always agree with your children, your spouse, your co-workers. Are you kidding me? Think for yourselves. This isn't about being a Democrat or a Republican. Let me point out to all of you who aren't paying attention, those lines are blurring anyway. Union votes, social votes, party votes, we are all taxpayers, and we are all losing ground as most of the rest of the country is prospering. Let me do the math for you. No taxpayers equal no money. People flee this state and you're losing money. They flee this state because of the taxes. Why is this so hard for all of you to see? Why are you all so deaf and uncaring about the people that you represent? A yes vote for this gas tax will prove your disregard for your constituents. There can be no other explanation. I don't know a single person that wants another tax imposed on them. Deficits, you say? The problem is the spending. The problem is the spending, which is on all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I think is it Jerry Howard?
Yes.
Morning, Jerry.
Morning. Afternoon, almost. I don't think I'm going to say anything better than the last lady. I'm a typical Will County taxpayer. I would like to see pension reform instituted before any new taxes are instituted or any existing taxes are raised. I'm going to share some personal financial information about myself that I haven't shared with anybody yet. I'm going to do it in a very formal setting here. I got married in '93 with my wife. We're still married, got 4 kids. Our household income was about $50,000 in '93. Now my household income is just under 100. I want to retire early. I've been contributing to Social Security like everybody here has to the tune of about 12%. 6% that I'm paying and 6% that an employer pays, which is my money. And after 46 years of that, I am able to retire with 30% of that income, which is about $30,000 a year. I'm not quite as ambitious as Mr. Walsh. I want to retire well before 66. So, in our mid-20s, my wife and I decided to open up an IRA. And that will allow us to retire at 59 if I could find the places to invest that money and grow that money, because our employers, and here's where we have worked over the years, Aldi, they match 4%. When we started making $50,000 a year, that's $2,000 a year. What kind of options would I have to retire like that? Hobby Lobby, 4% they match also. Dollar General on 53, 4%. And Prairie Creek also contributes the first 4%. I don't know how a couple of my friends that work for the county have retired at the age of 51. I don't understand. So over the time, of course, if you listen to Mr. Burko in our local Herald News, if you listen to Dave Ramsey on another local WJOL station, they say you better put 15% away. So from the age of 25 up to my age of 50 now, 51 almost, my wife and I I'm very proud to say we are now putting away 15% into an IRA. So now I can retire possibly at 59 and a half. That's not bad. I don't have a problem working until 59 and a half, but obviously my wife retired early. So do the math for a second. 12% Social Security we're putting away, 15% in our IRA. 27% of my money is going to retirement. I don't want another tax. But 59 and a half, like I said, I want my wife to retire earlier. So guess what? We're taking another 5% of our income. We make 90-some thousand a year. We're bringing home a little over 55 a year, mostly because it's going to our retirement. Again, I want pension reform. So we're bringing home $4,500 a month, and my wife's going to kill me when she knows I'm sharing this stuff. And now we're taking that 5% as of about 2009 when there was a huge market sell-off, and we're putting that into a Vanguard indexed S&P 500 fund, which has done phenomenal. Maybe my wife could retire, but think about it. Add it up, 12% Social Security, 15% in my IRA, and now an additional 5% because we got to bridge the gap because we can't touch our IRA until we're 59 and a half. 31% of the money we're putting away for retirement. And my kids wonder why they don't have Uber this or a lot of other things that other kids have. It's because of, and by the way, 100,000, I'm proud of that. I know there's a lot of people that make 100,000 with themselves, but my household income is about 96 or 7. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker why we need pension reform. I've got two friends who have retired, and one was a Will County cop, 51. One worked at the Will County Highway Department, retired, he's at 50. What kind of pile of money do they have to have setting aside to retire at that age? Because I can tell you, I hope to have $800,000 put away in my IRA when I turn 59 and a half. All the experts say you can pull out 5%. That's $40,000 a year. My Social Security should give me 30. That's 70% of my income, that's $70,000 a year. But I'm putting away 32%. But here's the kicker. I got a kid that wants to go to college. We went to a FAFSA meeting at Joliet Central, where he goes, where I graduated, where my wife graduated. When they saw what I had in my Vanguard fund, well, about $30,000, I did not qualify for any FAFSA money. I got penalized for trying to do the right thing and retire early. I've got other friends that have no money in a mutual fund, that's not qualified money that they could spend on whatever they want. I put it away for retirement, and I got no money. I got penalized. I'm not for raising taxes. I'm definitely not for new taxes. I'd like to see pension reform. I'd like to know how my friends retired at the age of 51. Have they put away well over 31% of their money? I don't think so. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Board.
Thank you. Next up, I think it's John Walters. Is there John Walters? If somebody close to John Walters, okay, okay. Next up, Rick Curtis.
Jackie, we're neighbors.
I always love it when I come to Joliet and meet my neighbors.
Merry Christmas. So just to talk about something that Jackie said earlier today. She said the Chevy Volt was a very, very popular car. So just a point of order on that. That car was discontinued by GM last November. So the gas tax is a regressive tax that hurts the lower class and the most economically vulnerable people. I have met with over 100 Will County residents over the last 5 years through my ministry work at the Sanctuary Church in Romeville. Over those last 5 years, I've handed out close to $100,000 to help the economically challenged people of Will County. I have personally met with these individuals. I want to talk about 3 of these individuals. The first is Diana. She is a family of 4 who is waiting on child support from her deadbeat husband and can't afford to make rent. The second person is from Susan from Joliet. She's a waitress at Cracker Barrel. She works on minimum wage and she works at getting tips. She also can't make rent. Then there's Michelle from Joliet. I believe, Rachel, she's in your district. I don't know that. I don't know. But she's a family of 5 whose husband lost his job and they needed groceries to feed the kids. Now, when they come to me, this isn't about needing $1,000. This is about needing $200 to survive, $300 to survive. And it's not just a handful of people, it's hundreds of people, okay? The middle class, we heard it earlier from the 2 folks earlier. They said, we're not happy, and they're shoppers. You know they're shoppers. What do? They'll go to the gas station that's a penny cheaper. In Will County, you know where they go? They go to Hammond, Indiana, where it's 70 cents cheaper per gallon because of the difference in the fuel tax. Okay? Mr. Van Dyne, I'm in the transportation business as well. Okay? I do a lot of business with transportation companies in Will County, in Cook County, in the Midwest. And I can assure you that the average mile length that a trucker runs regionally is 500 miles. So anywhere in 500 miles he can fill up, not just in Will County. Okay? Secondly, long haul guys, it's 1,000 miles. They have 150-gallon tanks on their trucks. They're not filling up here when they're passing through. I can assure you of that. Okay? So like I said, the middle class shops. You know what the rich do? You heard it. You know what the 1%ers do? They move. They move and they move out. So then you're left with a regressive tax that hurts the economically viable people. They're vulnerable. And I can assure you, out of all the people that I've met with over the last 5 years, 99.9% of them were women. Okay? That means that tax that you're proposing is a very sexist tax. It keeps the underclass enslaved to the Pritzker plantation. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Dieters.
Suddenly feel short. My name's Patty Dyers. I'm a New Lenox resident. I'm concerned about the gas tax. The state of Illinois raised the gas tax to 38 cents from 19 cents, making Illinois the 3rd highest in the nation. I have yet to hear what road improvements are scheduled to be done that you don't have the funding for. I haven't seen anything. What have the township said that they need immediately done? It was my understanding that you actually have less roads to take care of than you did even 10 years ago because they've been incorporated into the villages. I want to know what studies or recommendations the townships have given you. I want to know why you need my money. I mean, this is a tax on me. This is a tax on the moms. We have to drive our kids around. I've had my kids' bus service canceled because the bus is too expensive. So now I have to drive my kids to school. You got to pick your kids up from school. You got to drive your kids to, you know, you're driving everywhere. I think it's a tax on the residents. I don't think it's a tax on the truckers. I think it's a tax on the parents and the middle class people and the lower class people in this county. I think you're taking money away from working families. You're taking away money from working mothers. The average citizen in Will County will now pay more than $300 in new taxes. My income has not gone up over $300 to cover these new taxes. Rich people don't miss $300 a year. I miss $300 a year. $300 a year in my family is a huge amount of money. So maybe the county's like, oh, but only our portion is $70. $70 is a lot of money in my house. As the gentleman said beforehand, the people who are going to be suffering are not asking for, they need another $1,000 a month. They need $70 to buy groceries. They need $70 to pay for something for their kids. They need something else. This is a lot of money to the residents and to the working people in Will County. I don't think you understand that. We cannot afford any more taxes put on us. I don't see the truckers paying these taxes, and to say it's just the truckers, it's such a small portion. It's the people who live here. Not only that, I live in New Lenox, they throw a 2% tax on everything you guys tax. I just think this tax is punishing the people who live in this county, and I hope that you vote no. So just take that into consideration. I think you're punishing the people on the working class families, and I think you should stick up for the working class families that you say that you represent, because I don't think you do.
Thank you.
And we're gonna-
Anyone else from the public want to talk? Come on.
Sir, thank you very much for letting me speak. I'll keep it brief. I do plan on coming back up here in a few minutes. I just want to let you know, I'm kind of a broke person, and every dollar matters to me. But guess what? When I got run off I-80 and I had like $3,000 worth of car damage, boy, that was hard to recuperate. Every pothole, every bit of damage, all throughout Will County, maybe not right on 80, but that all affects working families, families that don't have the money to get new tires or a new vehicle. So this extra $5 a month or whatever it's going to cost me so I don't have to do $3,000 worth of repairs on my car soon, I'm happy to pay that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any others? Okay. Studio Gala.
Thank you. I do appreciate all the board members that took the time to set up a town hall meeting so that the residents of their area could hear from the county. I know I don't speak loud.
You're so soft that people can.
All right. I gotta get a louder voice.
Get
I think Ken Harris had that same problem. Those of us who chair and are vice chair of the ranking committee do not speak loud. Speak loud. Okay, it said, I wanted to thank all the county board members who did host town hall meetings in their communities so that the residents could hear what our director of the highway department and other staff members had to say about the possibility of a gas tax here in Will County. What I did find at the town hall meeting in my district was that if you looked at the people who were there were, say, 20 people in the room, but of those, there were actually just 6 residents. The rest were elected officials and staff members. So those 6 residents were able to make it out. So when I looked at doing one myself in my district, I decided that what made the most sense was to put this information out there publicly. So I wrote a document and I put it out on Facebook, and I will put it into a letter to the editor, to the paper, to the people in my district. And because there's a lot of confusion on this. So when we're talking about Will County gas tax, we're talking about Will County roads and bridges. We're not talking about I-80. We're not talking about I-55. Those are federal roads. We're not talking about roads in municipalities or roads in townships. We're talking about county roads. I also want to make sure before I start is that everyone should be aware of the fact that when the state of Illinois imposed an additional 19 cents to the current state gas tax, that all municipalities and all townships will be receiving additional funding because of that 19 cents. So that means all the townships, all municipalities, and Will County itself will be receiving more dollars. Part of the letter to the editor, I'm not going to read the entire thing, was to clarify this for our residents. The Will County Highway Department of Transportation currently receives two sources of funding. One is MFT, motor fuel tax, and the other one is the RTA, which is the Regional Transportation Sales Tax. Of that, currently, we get approximately $9 million a year for our roads. The RTA tax, we get approximately $23 million. Half of that, $11.5 million, is used for road and bridge improvements. The other half we use for paying off debt bonds for public health and safety capital projects. With the additional 19 cents that the state has imposed, bringing our state gas tax to 38 cents, Will County is expected to receive, on top of the money we already get, an additional $6.2 million annually. Another thing that not everyone was aware of when I was out speaking was that the state gas tax, as the county tax, if it's approved, would be indexed to the CPI. CPI is a consumer price index. What does that mean to the resident? It means that the CPI goes up, so will this gas tax. So this gas tax is not going to remain at 38 cents or 4 cents here in Will County. It will continue to increase as the CPI increases. But if you look at the CPI basically increases nearly every single year. In addition to that, Governor Pritzker has also put a bond program in place for additional infrastructure revenue. Those bond dollars are expected to be paid out over the next 3 to 6 years. Will County is expected to receive $23 million from that bond program. My residents in Eastern Will County are very concerned about a project where tax dollars have been wasted for decades, which is the Peatone Airport. In this legislation that they hope to take these tax dollars is an interchange at I-57 and Eagle Lake Road. If you look at that area there, there's nothing but homes and farms. That interchange improvement would lead onto township roads. If you look at the interchange at Mohney Manhattan and the interchange at Peatone Wilmington Road, both of those interchanges are in dire need of infrastructure improvement. There are potholes, there have been numerous accidents there, and the village of Mohney is adding a new truck stop there, and the village of Peatone hopes to add a new truck stop at the Peatone Wilmington exit. So it would make sense that we look at the dollars that we're spending and spend them wisely. Everyone knows that Will County will always have an endless list of road projects that need to be done. That's a given. But same thing like us looking at our home improvements. We'll have something else that needs to get done in our house. But as county residents, we don't have an endless pot of money we can draw from to pay more in taxes. I believe the additional $6.2 million annually plus the $23 million in bonds to be paid over the next 3 to 6 years is enough. Because there has to be a moment when elected officials say, enough, no more taxes. Therefore, I do oppose the gas tax. I then asked everybody to please take a moment and write a letter or send an email in to the county board members that many of us received, that we received in our county board packet. In addition to the fact I did attend various different meetings and events in my district, and I asked them, I put this document before them, and I said, the Will County Board, countywide gas tax. Do you support a new gas tax? Do you oppose a new gas tax? Don't you have any opinion at this time? I have 117 names and addresses of people who signed this, and they are all signed in the opposed column. I only had 2 people say that they didn't want to sign. I think that this information that we have here is pretty significant as to the impact of how our residents feel. And I do want to reiterate that the biggest impact will be to our senior citizens who are on a fixed income, many of them just living on Social Security. Yet their property taxes go up every single year. If they live in a mobile home community, as we do have in my area, that mobile home monthly rate goes up every single year. Their Social Security does not go up every single year to meet those needs. This also impacts our low-income families. Our low-income families who are living week by week just to try and get by, to pay the rent, to pay for the food. And another group that nobody has mentioned is our young teen drivers. So those kids who are just getting their driver's licenses and have their job at McDonald's or somewhere that a young teen might work, or even at Menards, they now will be paying this additional dollars. So not only will any semi who decides to stop and get gas in Will County, but everyone who gets gas in Will County. One more thing that my constituents said in County Board District 1 is that they are so happy they live near the border of Indiana. Those in the southern portion are so happy that they live near Kankakee County. And that's where they tell me they already go there now because they're not going to pay more taxes to Will County. So I think that we need to really look at this and understand the fact that we are getting more money. Don't think that we aren't getting more money. We'll be getting, if it's paid out over 6 years, the $23 million, that's approximately $3.8 million on top of $6.2 million. So that's nearly an additional $10 million we'll be getting if it's paid out over 6 years. On top of what we currently get from our motor fuel tax and the RTA tax. I think that's enough. I think we need to say no at this time. If at some future date, there becomes another need, possibly look at it again. But I think we need to say no. I think that we have additional monies from this tax, and I think that you guys should listen to the voice of the people. I have 117 signatures, names and addresses, plus all the ones that we received in our mail. We've received a lot of negative responses. Thank you.
Mr. Ronald. Thank you, Mr. Executive. I just wanted to point out, first of all, thank you, Judy, for that information. And then I just wanted to point out that what you saw here today with these folks, thank you for coming up and speaking with us, but I've had overwhelming opposition to the tax increase. People are upset about what the state of Illinois has done. One guy, one of my constituents said, I can't believe how dumb the state of Illinois is, and I can't believe that you guys are willing to double down on dumb. And that was his statement. Because of this, and I don't want to heap more confiscatory burdens on our neighbors. I think enough is enough. I can't believe that we're actually here debating this, because if you even bother to look around or ask questions, you're going to see that people are tired of taxes. I put out a little poll in my district, and it was a bipartisan poll. And ironically, and I think I mentioned this before, the Democrats came out higher as far as their concern on taxes than the Republicans. And that's odd, because the assumption is that, we want less taxes. So it's a bipartisan situation. It's going to affect everybody in the pocketbook. And and the lady that came up here first, she said, and I wrote this down, are we paying attention? And ma'am, my response to you is, no, many of us are not paying attention, because this wouldn't be up here for debate if we were. With that involved, I don't think we're hearing the people's voices, and I would like to offer up a motion to have a referendum on this fuel tax. Unless, of course, there's fear of what they'll find out that the voters really think of this. Now, it was told to me that, oh, this referendum is going to be costly. But we don't care about the cost that we're perpetrating on the citizens in our communities. So again, I just want to reemphasize, I want to put up a motion,
I second the
a
motion.
referendum on this fuel tax.
Mary?
It's not on the agenda. There's no item on the agenda for referendum.
The gas tax,
It is, but you have to, we would need a resolution and everything to move forward with a referendum. I think it's a separate enough issue.
It's about gas.
Yeah, but you can separate it. I'm sorry.
According to the state terms, that's out of order.
I'd like to make a motion to remove this and send it back to the executive committee.
Motion made, Sal.
Second.
Yeah.
Second. Any discussion?
Can we go to our comment before we?
Any discussion? Mr. or Ms. O'Gallagher?
Yeah, I would just like Steve to clarify what he's removing and said he would like to remove the second executive committee.
I'd like to have this go back for discussion in executive committee. And I brought this up at committee before, and it seems to be overlooked, like a lot of things I say. But every time you raise that gas tax, the people that live in town and buy goods, they're paid for it. The trucks have a fuel surcharge. So businesses that send out cars to deliver things, or trucks, they're passing it on to the people that buy it. So, you know, I think we need to have a real good discussion, so I want to send back to the executive committee so we can have a better discussion, bring up all the issues, because we're not really talking about everything right now.
Motion second. Any discussion on Mr. Van Dyne?
All the information about this topic has been provided for many months. There's been plenty of opportunity, many town hall meetings to talk to, and plenty of time to talk to their constituents. I consider this another stall tactic, and I will not be in favor of sending it back.
Point of order, Larry. I did 2 town halls, and I did a survey on Facebook with 1,700 people, having 90% saying no.
Okay.
So we've done our due diligence, we have checked,
Okay.
and I say let's call for a vote.
All the questions.
Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Mr. Ballard has sent a motion to send back to the executive committee for further discussion and
Barry?
No.
Frizalone?
Yes.
Newquist?
No.
Ogalla?
Yes.
Cook?
No.
Mustis?
Yes.
Rice?
No.
Tyson?
No.
Harris?
No.
Trainier?
No.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mueller?
No.
Gould?
Yes.
Van Dyne?
No.
Balich?
Yes.
Brooks?
No.
Parker?
Yes.
Ventura? Abstain. Dallinger?
Yes.
Markham?
No.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Cowan? No. Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel? Gerlaitis?
Yes.
Winfrey?
No.
Affirmative, 13 negative, 1 abstention.
motion was motion was denied. Now, we're back up. Ms. Ventura, you wanted to talk on
Yes.
the issue?
Yes. Will County roadways have sustained more damage than other municipalities in the United States because we have the world's largest inland port, Center Point, in our backyard. The massive warehouses draw elevated levels of truck traffic and pollution to our neighborhoods. According to our friendly freight mobility study from 2015, 380 million tons of freight traverse through Will County every day, with 17,000 trucks traveling per day just on 80 alone. Some of our state and federal elected officials have done a good job of securing funding for our infrastructure improvements, but the cost to repair county roads falls on property owners. Recently, Republican board members have raised opposition about this proposed gas tax, but they have done nothing to offer alternative funding mechanisms to adequately repair our roads. In the past, Republicans have controlled the Will County Board and allowed roads to go unrepaired and shifted the cost onto property tax owners. In addition to taxing homeowners, Republicans have allowed these large warehouses to dodge paying property taxes by creating warehouse tip districts. So today, the board is faced with the decision to implement a user tax on motor fuel and to repair our roads. While the proposed tax would bring an estimated $12 per fill-up from trucks, it is estimated only to affect passenger cars by about 40 or 60 cents per fill-up, or $28 a year. We cannot oppose a tax on trucks only, per the state law. The tax would have to be on all motor fuel sold in Will County, including passenger cars and, of course, trucks. So while I am 100% of support of raising road maintenance revenues primarily from the heavy users of our roadways, like our trucks, I cannot support this proposed raising of gasoline tax on top of what the state has already increased without being prepared to decrease the property tax levy for our county roads. My goal in taxation would be to ensure that Will County homeowners experience a decrease in their property tax, and the burden of paying for road maintenance is shifted to those heavy users, in effect switching the burden from property tax to a user tax. Therefore, I cannot support this increase until the county board is prepared to provide property tax relief to the Will County homeowners at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Mueller.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Executive Walsh. I just wanted to let everybody know that some of the feedback I got from residents was, why aren't we charging impact fees on all the new construction we've had over the last 10 years? And after doing a little digging, I came across an impact fee study that this board, I assume, paid for to have done and then did not decide to enforce or use. Over 66% of our county roads are 50 years old or over. Only over 22% are over 70 years old. We're driving on roads that are designed for Will County as it was 50 years ago. And it's time we update this, especially for the safety of our residents. I understand no one wants to pay another tax. $70 is a lot in my house, and we make less than $75,000 a year in my household. However, I did check out the gas prices over in Hammond, Indiana and in Kankakee, and I'm pleased to report they are 10 cents higher than gas near the county building today. So I understand people think folks are going to leave town to buy gas. It's just not less expensive somewhere else. That's the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ms. Trenier.
Thank you, County Executive. Good afternoon. Hope you brought your dinner. I do wish the resident from Bolingbrook that said he was my neighbor was still here, because he really should hear these discussions and understand what's going on. I know he did not come to the public information meeting that Ken Harris and I had at Bolingbrook, or I would have met him there. We are spending just our portion on the Weber Road interchange, $45 million. That's more money than we take in 1 year, even under this new system. We had to save for years to be able to do that, and we have to bond out and pay interest on the parts we don't have up front, which makes the cost of the road even more expensive. To the discussion that the truck stops aren't going to stop in Will County, boy, don't we wish that would be true. Holy moly, we got 2 brand new ones right in Bolingbrook, Romeoville, right on 53. There's a brand new one, what is it called, Loves, it's gonna be built along 80. These new truck stops are popping up everywhere. For somebody to tell me that the trucks aren't gonna fuel up, well, I don't know what else they're doing there. You know, they gotta be getting gas somewhere. It'd be nice to assume that a trucker could figure out exactly where they were gonna fuel up at the beginning of the week when they start out on their journey, but I doubt that they, you know, are looking at it that closely. They're trying to make a deadline and get their materials where they need to go. Kicking the can down the road just makes every one of these repairs that my colleague Ms. Mueller mentioned even more expensive. 20 and 70 and 50-year-old roads, every year we wait, they get more expensive because the cost of building that road doesn't go down. People are upset about the gas tax at the state going up after like 19 years with no increase. They should consider themselves lucky. 19 years, no increase? What a deal they got. I'm going to be supporting the gas tax. We need to fix the roads in Will County now and save our residents car repair money.
Ms. Conlon?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I did the math. I've done a lot of hard thinking about the gas tax and talked to a lot of constituents about it and did my own personal math. It'll cost me less than 50 cents a week, which is less than $30 a year. Let's be totally honest, there have been times in my life when an extra 30 bucks was going to make or break the bank. And hearing that I had to spend another 30 bucks would have caused me extreme stress and heartache. I'm fortunate not to be in that position today, but I understand there are people in Will County in that position. My parents are in their 70s. They've been small business owners and worked for themselves for most of their lives. And despite saving scrupulously and working hard, they will probably never retire. The crunch on the middle class is real. That being said, my job here today is to think long-term. I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions in that arena. Research shows that people move to areas for 3 key reasons: good jobs, good schools, and safe communities. When they leave areas, it's because there's another area that has better in those 3 categories. I'd also like to clear up the misconception that people are, quote, fleeing Illinois. The stats show that actually population loss, people moving out of Illinois, happens at the same or slightly better rate than it does in any other state in the nation. We're about dead even with every other state. The reason our population is decreasing at a higher rate than other states is because we are not attracting new residents. It's because our birth rate is low, because our immigration rate is low, and because our migration rate is low compared to other states. That's why Illinois is losing population. Therefore, in order to stop that population decrease, we need to focus on the things that draw people to areas: good jobs, good schools, and safe communities. Underpinning all 3 of these things, a necessary precursor to all 3 of these things, is a safe and modern infrastructure system. While Will County is growing, we need to protect our economic growth by supporting infrastructure. To that end, I'd like to note that the Center for Economic Development in Will County has offered a letter of support for a 4-cent gas tax. I consider them an independent source of good information about what will be the best economic plan long-term for Will County. As such, I will be supporting a 4-cent gas tax.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Frizzalone?
Thank you. I'd just like to clear up a couple of things. Mr. Ventura mentioned I-80. I-80 is not a county road. I don't know how many times we have to say that.
I didn't say it was.
You want to use that all the time to make it sound like this tax is going to go and confuse the people that it's going toward I-80. It is not.
Nope.
And when you talk about in the past, the board has done this or that, the board has passed the 5-year road plan every year I've been here, and funded it every year I've been here, and maybe some of our elder statesmen can tell us how many years back that goes, but we always fund the 5-year plan. We are going to get $10 million this year, extra, over what we've had before. I don't understand why people can't see that we should take that money, see what else we can do, and then look at it next year. There's such a rush to make a money grab right after people were jammed with the 19 cents, which is actually more like 20, because they taxed the tax in the state. This tax will be taxed as well. So there'll be a tax on both the state tax, gas tax, and our gas tax. There'll be sales tax on top of that. And when you talk about state numbers of people leaving, I mean, obviously, you know, there's all kinds of numbers out there. It is a fact that we're losing on average about 45,000 people a year net, which means we're going to lose at least one congressman next census, possibly two. That's not good. And I don't care what anybody says, it's the tax burden. Anybody you talk to say, I'm done with this. They're moving over the border because of the tax burden. I myself look at the numbers and say, how long can I do this once I get into retirement? I'll be looking for some other place to go down the line. But thank you.
Ms. Newquist?
Well, I live in the far eastern side of the county. I'm almost to Indiana. I could easily go to Dyer, Indiana for my gas, but I don't, for 3 reasons. One is the traffic is terrible. 2 is the gas prices really aren't lower. I mean, for the most part, the gas prices stay the same. I mean, gas station owners want to be competitive, and they're not going to price themselves out of the market. But the third reason I don't go is because the roads are in terrible shape. So, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Thank you.
Question?
Ms. Berkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I had a town hall meeting and it had great attendance. We were very happy with it. I want to thank the county staff again for coming and taking time out of their day to meet with our residents. There was a residing consensus in that room that they do not support an additional new motor fuel tax. In the last 24 hours, my inbox has been flooded with emails regarding the motor fuel tax and recreational cannabis, and they are all very, very strongly against both issues. I wish we could take a look and see what this impact is on our sales tax receipts. We have a lot of people that are now, just to prove a point, in addition to saving money, going over to Indiana, buying their gas, buying their groceries, buying their clothing, doing all of their shopping, just to send a message that they're tired of these ever-increasing taxes. So for that reason, I have to listen to my constituents, and I agree, and I understand the message they're sending to me. That is why I cannot support this tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ferry?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I just want to say that I will be in favor of this resolution for the motor fuel tax to promote more good-paying jobs in Will County and to promote safety on the roads. And Mr. Executive, will you call the question?
I've got 2 more speakers. Mr. Musis?
I'd like to just touch on a number of things. You know, there are times when there's additional revenue necessary. This is just not one of those times. You know, we have approximately $70 million reserves for roads. We are getting an additional $10 million. We're going to get another over that 5-year period. We will get in excess of $200 million. Actually, I think with the reserves and the 5-year revenue stream currently, we will have, I don't know, approximately $350 million, $400 million available for roads in the next 5 years and you think you need more, you can't spend it that quickly. We're not capable of doing that many jobs, so I think putting on gas tax is certainly premature. I'd also like to address something when she said Republicans gave tips. This counties don't give tips, number one. So we never gave a tip. And two, we do give tax abatements, and almost all those tax abatements were supported by the Democratic caucus because they were in Democratic districts. So when you start accusing the Republicans of giving away tax dollars, you should, because for me,
You had the
I'll vote
majority.
against every tax abatement that ever comes down the road, because none of them are in my district. And they're carefully looked at, and it's for economic development, and it creates jobs. So when you start pointing the finger and actually saying the Republicans did this, you are absolutely incorrect.
You had the majority.
You know what? That doesn't matter. It was supported by the Democratic caucus. Don't say you had the majority. And you have the majority now, and what it shows to me, you got a majority that just want to tax and spend. That's what I see on that side. How's that? Because you're the majority.
A few names I can call you like to see, but I'm trying to stay within my religion parameters, I won't say.
Oh, you know what, Earl? Don't give the stuff out.
I'm just trying to be nice, that's all, Jim.
And I'm trying to be real and factual, whether you like it or not.
Mr. Ryan Fanning down the, Van Dyne. So, you want to make this final statement?
Yeah, I would like to say that the potential road improvements that we're looking at are not cheap. River Road, for example, 4 miles, it was built in 1980. Almost $30 million to reconstruct 4 miles of road. A lot of these potential improvements are in Judy Ogala's district. Extension of Cremoni Road east to Illinois Route 394. 2.5 miles of new alignment, $24 million. $19 million for 1.8 mile new alignment for the extension of Cremoni Road southerly to Illinois Route 50. We can go on and on. There's a list of projects here, and we're talking multi-million dollars. So, once again, I will be in favor of the gas tax. Call the question.
Madam Clerk, call roll.
Barry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
No.
Newquist?
Yes.
Ogala?
I do want to say to Mr. Van Dyne, just because the majority of the projects are in my district, that's irrelevant of the fact. I have a lot of county roads, I'm an unincorporated area, much more than a lot of the rest of you who live in municipalities, or your district is entirely in municipalities. Even so, you have to recognize the fact that we are getting more money from our county, from the state gas tax. We'll get more money from our bonds. Our residents do not need to pay more money because there is no end to the amount of money that we will need for roads. So there has to come a time when there's a limit. No.
Cook?
Yes.
Mostis?
No.
Rice?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Fritz?
No.
Mueller?
Yes.
Gould?
No.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Ventura?
No.
Dallinger?
No.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
No.
Cowan?
Yes.
Tumanello?
No.
Weigel?
No.
Prolitis?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Affirmative, 13 negative.
13, I vote aye.
14 affirmative, 13 negative.
Motion carried.